Hi, my friend.
Hi. What a great pleasure to see you.
How
How are you
you?
doing?
Yeah, I'm good.
I
How
hope
you?
you're fine. You're fine. Your health, is it okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I look
Oh,
healthy, right?
thank you.
How do I pronounce your name?
Is
Safe
Saif.
Allah.
Safe.
Saif.
And my
Safe.
name is Amin.
I mean, okay.
So,
Like it's pronounced different than Amen. Amen, the same as when you pray, you say Amen. That's the same meaning in
Okay.
Arabic. That's the same meaning in
oh,
Arabic.
for me, it's just like saying safe. Something is safe. I'm safe, and
You are
I'm actually
safe.
safe.
And it's not.
Uh, I have many Arab friends.
Oh,
Oh,
that's great.
really?
They love my work, so I have many Arab friends.
That's great.
Mohammed, a lot of Arab friends.
Wow.
And from Morocco, I think we are the first ones who win this prize from Morocco.
I was in Spain. I was speaking in Spain a couple of years ago. I can see Morocco across the sea.
Yes,
That's good.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. South Spain, South Spain.
Yeah.
You should pay us a visit next time, Dr. Wong.
When the pandemic is over, then I go to
Yes,
visit.
we will invite you to visit us. It's a beautiful country. You will like it.
Beautiful desert and mountain,
There
beautiful
we go.
landscape. I would like to rent a
Beaches. Yes. We have a lot of landscapes. Beautiful. We have a lot of tourists from China. They love it here.
I like to ride a camel.
We'll take you to the desert if you want to have a nice trip in the desert. You'll love it. Maybe you will stay with us.
And your country is famous for cuisine. Your food's very good.
Yeah,
You're well informed. I see. Okay, guys, we are on live on air now, so prepare for being on public.
All right. Good afternoon and good evening, and welcome to Flourish Talks. It's a series of webinars that explore the connection between science and everyday life by inviting science professionals and experts in their fields. My name is Professor Amin Zanjari, and I'm going to be your host along with Professor Saif Al-Alwani. Professor Saif Al-Alwani is a professor in management and very passionate about human flourishing. And he's the founder of Human Flourishing Engineering Institute and a writer in True Language, his latest book in You Shall Not Language. We're all being impacted lately by the pandemic, the coronavirus, and along with a non-stop stream of many other crises in our life. Some people, they get anxious, depressed, and give up in life. And surprisingly, some others flourish, thrive, and meet success. Why? What are their secrets of survival and success? Is there such a thing called thriving through suffering? To answer these questions and more, we have a very special guest today with us and tonight, Dr. Wong. Dr. Wong, my first question to you, or my first request to you, would you introduce yourself to your audience from Middle East or MENA region and Africa and Europe? What would you say to them? How would you introduce yourself, Dr. Wong?
I'm an old man from China. Some people call me a Chinese sage because I have ancient wisdom from China. But I'm also in North America for more than 60 years. So I'm also familiar with the Western thinking. I'm able to integrate East and West. So I'm a psychologist and both a researcher and a clinical psychologist. So I study people from research and from working with my clients. So my whole life is dedicated to bringing happiness and meaning to suffering people.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. Mr. Saif, the floor is yours. The audio, Dr. Saif.
I'm actually a little bit thrilled. So I'm under heavy emotions to be able to think clearly and to address, because I can't believe I'm addressing I'm talking to the great Dr. Wong, one of my biggest heroes. So I've been reading your biographies and listening to your talk during the last few days, and I discovered about your iron fist and your and your laughing Buddha feature. Now, I want to start by a simple question: how did you come to crack the code of flourishing through suffering, Doctor?
Well, I have to survive because I have suffered many things. I grew up under Japanese occupation, and I have seen brutality, violence, and then I see civil war, then I was a refugee. So I had to survive. I said, how could I survive through all these sufferings? That's how I discover how to flourish through suffering. The other way will be stuck in my misery. I don't want to be miserable.
So suffering was the secret recipe, don't? So it's a matter of.
I credit all success to my suffering.
Okay, let me, Doctor, let me before delving into the core subject of our discussion tonight, let me just put the frame a little bit. You know, we are from Middle East and North Africa, and being a Moroccan, for example, is being from Arab or Berber race mainly, and is a kind of bearing the burden of history, the colonization history, the geography burden also, and somehow being a recipient of a lot of cultural values stemming from Islam mainly. So, and you know, we are living in the midst of what you call the noxious world. So is there any hope for us to craft our authentic way to flourish in the midst of such contingencies?
Okay, I live in the same world, okay? And my country is no longer the same. No longer the same, and I can no longer go home. I'm homeless. I'm not accepted in the West, and I can go back to my own home, so I'm homeless. And so do you know what? If people ask me, how can you be so strong and so productive? So I say, I thank God for all my suffering. Every time life hit me, every punch I receive made me be stronger. So I either succumb to all the sufferings or become stronger. So this little guy had gone through many battles. In Hong Kong is a British colony, right? In China, it colonized by Japan, occupied by Japan. So I have lived through all the things. When I overcome discrimination, oppression, that makes me smarter than people. That make me stronger and smarter than people who have no opportunity. So that's why all my success can be credited to suffering and to God's grace and God's help. So because while I'm in a situation that nobody else can help, I can only cry out to God. I remember watching the movie, The Resurrection of the Arab name, the resurrection of Portugal, the movie about a Arab warrior, the minority being oppressed by certain people. But out of their oppression, he was able to converse very strong because of his faith and his persistence. So bad discrimination, oppression, injustice are difficult to take, but that makes us strong.
Thank you, Doctor.
You can survive too, right?
Yes, sure. So I think our audience is eager to discover what is the existential positive psychology from the horse's mouth. So I let you present your main dish. Okay.
Okay. So let me sip tea first.
Typically.
Good. Okay. Okay. Here's an overview. Now, the suffering is a gift. It is a hidden mercy from God by the great Rami. You know Rami, right? Okay. Now, so my first question is you ask me, how can we flourish in suffering? How? So there are two problems, basically. One is the problem of suffering. The other problem is pursuing happiness. Both create problems. So existential positive psychology is a way to transcend both the problem of suffering and the problem of pursuing happiness. The result is the self-transcendence model. From this framework, we can develop inner peace and harmony and mature happiness in trying times. Okay. So, by the way, I might not be able to finish everything, but I will explain things clearly. Okay. Here's my first question for you. We all have to make a choice between a broad gate that promises a life of worldly happiness and success, or a narrow gate that promises you a life of suffering and flourishing. So what's your choice? Okay. So I like to talk about that. And at the end of the seminar, you'll know how to make the choice. Okay. We all have to make a choice between a broad gate that promises a life of worldly happiness and success, or a narrow gate that promises you a life of suffering and flourishing. Okay. Here's the main Russian thing. Many people in North America, they try to pretend, oh, life is beautiful, life is good. They try to pretend suffering doesn't exist. But now during the pandemic, they can no longer deny this reality, okay? So the natural tendency for human being is to avoid suffering or pain. But the tendency to run away from pain actually makes you suffer more. Paradoxically, a better way is to embrace your pain, to dance with your pain and suffering, and that gives you, provide more healing and flourishing, okay? So our task is how to turn suffering into strength, how to turn trauma into triumph. Okay. Now here's another famous statement from Kahim. How to pronounce his name? Do you know him? Khalil
Gibran.
Yeah, he wrote the book. He wrote the famous book, The Prophet. Remember?
I know the book.
A lovely book. Right? Now he said, out of suffering emerged the strongest soul. You meet any great people in history. I studied them. I even wrote a paper about that. The greatest people on earth, the wisest, smartest people, you ask them, they'll tell you that they have overcome a great deal of suffering and many failures and humiliation, and they're wounded many times. And their scar is their badge of honor. I have many scars in my body. You want to see? So my scar is my badge of honor. Okay. Now here's another great quote from Rami. The wound is the place where the lie enters you. What kind of lie? The lie that shows you who you really are. You're more than the body. You have a soul hungry for God. The lie also shows you the mystery, the beauty, the wonder of God. Without suffering, people think that they don't need God. They can be happy, eating, drinking, and making love. It's suffering that brings us to know our innermost soul, to have connection with the great God. Okay? That's why I say, right now is the worst time, but also the best time. Now, here's the twist. We can celebrate the best time only when we overcome and transcend the worst time. So the worst and the best are connected. You cannot have the best without the worst. Okay. So we need to transcend both the worst time and the best time. So the power of self-transcendence means that we need to transform the suffering and motivated to pursue the highest ideal that beyond material, beyond our physical. So the self-transcendence theory of existential parapsychology bring in the vertical dimension. Our soul, our need, and God. Psychology mainly focus on the horizontal dimension of worldly success and physical needs. Now here's the question. We need to look at suffering more closely. The first type of suffering is external events beyond human control. Disaster, natural disaster, drought, flood, earthquake, pandemic, and the book of Job, if you know about that, it's the oldest book history, it's Job. And he suffered, he's an innocent man, but he suffered because there are dark forces in the spiritual world. Okay? So there are events beyond our control. There are also events that within human control. For example, community safety, good government. If you have bad government, it can create a lot of problems for citizens. If the government cannot keep the community safe, a lot of drugs and violence, again, causes suffering. So there are external events that can be reformed, can be brought under control. Now, internal events. There are internal events beyond human control. What are they? the evil in us, the evil, the desires, the tendency to get addicted to drugs, to women, to pleasure, addicting to electronic games, all kinds of addiction, all kinds of human bondage can cause us misery. And finally, there are the event within human control. That is the Buddhists call about karma. In the West, call about the law of cause and effect. You're free to make your choices, but you're not free from the consequences of your choice. You reap what you sow, right? Here you are, right? If you reap evil, sooner or later you'll pay for it. And the other thing is law of effect. If you work harder, you produce more harvest. You're lazy bump. You're lazy, you get poor, you become poor. I'm old man, I still work 8 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day. I work hard. You can ask my wife or my sister. If I don't work, just watching TV, lying in bed, I'm not able to produce books and papers every year. So if we want to succeed, you work harder. You want to be happy, do good things, karma. Don't do evil. Now here is the evidence collected by Google, by Gallup. They don't have the more recent data. You can see that if they know that people have all kinds of stress, anger, worry, every year goes up. Now this is the irony. Do you know why? When economy, living standard rises, to the paradox, okay? When the economy improves, living conditions improve, people are not happier. Actually, people have more problems. So that's a paradox, right? It's called Eastern paradox. Your living conditions improve, but your suffering also increase. Why? Why that we're always happy, but we feel miserable most of the time? Here are many reasons. Too much self, too much egotism, too much pride. These are called evil. And single-minded pursuit of happiness by itself causes unhappiness. Isn't it the paradox? If you, I want to do my life to pursue happiness, you can make yourself more unhappy. I'll explain to you more later on. The next point is that material things can never fill our spiritual needs. That's why in the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon has everything, but still feel empty, unhappy, until he realized that material things cannot replace God. That the whole, heart can only be filled by God. Okay. And the reason why we are so unhappy, because we're too sensitive to what other people say, what other people do. So what other people say about us, how they treat us, cause us worry and depression, or anger, or frustration. So a wise person will refuse to let other people rob them of their happiness. But most people don't know how to do that. Okay? Overthinking is another source. And finally, existential anxieties, suppressed painful memories, all those things can be resolved with some help, with some professional help, and with God's help. Now, here I mean, I don't expect you to see it, okay? But I'm writing a paper on that. And here it shows that the process of growing itself causes suffering. The trauma of childbirth, don't worry about it, cannot see it, it's right too small. When a child was born, away from the warm comfort of mother's womb, it's traumatic. There are research showing child trauma. And then when the mother had to put the baby in the crib to teach the baby to live in the crib, the baby again screamed bloody murder, cry. So there's a suffering from separation from mother. Also life stage. You know, every life stage we have to overcome and transcend an existential crisis and suffering. Okay? That's part of being a human being. And Buddha said, Buddha said life is suffering from birth, from old age, from getting sick, and from dying. That is the human condition. To live is to suffer. And to suffer is to find meaning for suffering. Okay? Now, I have here's the list summary. Do you know what is toxic positivity? Toxic positivity means you put on a happy face. You pretend to be happy. It means you feel guilty for being sad. Or you look down upon people who are sad. That's toxic. In many workplaces in North America, they say, oh, we want to create culture of happiness. But during the pandemic, many things are going wrong. We cannot pretend to be happy. Pretend to be happy is toxic. It's very hard. You know, the clown put a happy face, but they're crying within them. So we're all sad sometimes, okay? Also, unrealistic expectation can cause you unhappiness. If you expect life to be positive, expect good things to happen, you're doomed to disappointment and despair. Avoiding hardship makes things worse. You procrastinate, pretend, try to delay the task. The more you delay, the more you avoid, the more you suffer. This COD, compulsive obsessive disorder. Good people tend to want to be perfect, but cannot be perfect, so therefore they delay. Delay makes them suffer even more. And so that's why people tell you that you can be happy and successful without suffering. They're lying to you. Don't listen to them. Here's a famous quote. A man who fears suffering is already suffering, right? They don't know that the fact is that all the good things in life are on the other side of suffering. If you're afraid of failure, afraid of rejection, you suffer from two things. You suffer from fear, but you also suffer from not able to get what you really need. Okay? Now, here is a chart. Now, Salomon also talk about flourishing, okay? So Silverman and I had been like this. And he don't like me, okay? That's fine, okay? But he had made a lot of contribution, okay?
We do like you. We do like you, doctor. Well, millions.
Thank you. But anyway, see, well, let me explain to I come from a background of suffering, and he doesn't have my experience, so he says, "Perma, you produce all this, you'll be happy and flourishing." But it's not possible to have positive emotion all the time. We'll see more. If we do not embrace the dark side of life, you can never be happy. Similarly, engagement. I feel really engaged in playing piano, in playing a game well, basketball, whatever. But you cannot be fully engaged, enjoying, have experienced flow. You cannot experience flow if you haven't gone through years of painful discipline and training. A good dancer can dance without effort. But you ask him, he might have gone through years of hard training. A singer can sing beautifully. But ask any good singer, they all have gone through, so you cannot have fully engaged in your activity with enjoyment without going through suffering. Similarly, relationship. You know, other people is hell. Other people is also heaven. But it really doesn't, if you are married or have girlfriend, you know that it's not easy. Don't tell me it's all heaven, no hell. Everybody has experienced hell once they get married. Right? And also everybody has experienced, most of the problems are coming from other people. Okay. Third, find a meaning. You can't have meaning of life without finding something that worth suffering, worth dying for. You cannot have meaning without suffering. Same thing with achievement. How you achieve great things in life without going through many failures. You need to learn how to make each failure each failure is a stepping stone towards success. No failure, no success. Maybe Silverman is lucky, he was able to achieve success without failure. I'm the poor little Chinese guy in North America. I have faced discrimination, faced humiliation, faced rejection many times. I'm only able to succeed because of God's grace. Okay? So this is the same thing. So I'm saying that the perma had to be accompanied by courage and acceptance and transcendence. So this iron triangle, with courage to face suffering with defiant human spirit, without accepting life as it is, without the ability to transcend suffering, perma is not possible. You cannot have perma without this, without iron triangle. Okay. So now we talk about children now. Do you know what make me sad? It really breaks my heart to see children nowadays spend all their time playing games rather than playing with other children. And they don't talk to parents, and they grew on TV or playing games. I have clients who are 20 years old. They don't want to study, they don't want to get a job. don't stay home playing games. I'm not kidding. I have clients, many clients from China, and some clients from North America. They don't want to meet people. They don't want to find jobs. They don't stay home. Parents support them. The rich parents support them. Playing games on computer. As for children, the brain is amazing. They can learn so much. Instead of training children to learn all the basic things, basic skills in life, they spend their time, fill their mind with junk, the Western junk, pleasure, sex, violence, all the rotten stuff. So here you're saying, they say, you can never develop happiness without meeting your evil twin. So that means that there's a spiritual part of us, there's also an evil part of us, the evil twin. Carl Jung says that to be our best self, we have to know how to encounter the dark side of dark side. If we ignore the dark side, it simply grows stronger and stronger until it swallows us. You will make friends of the dark side. Talk to them. We can learn something from them, okay? And also tame them, transform them, so they become our ally. They become our friend. You know, but sometimes you need a little bit, sometimes you need a little bit devil to overcome the situation. The Bible says you should be as kind as a dove, but as shrewd as a snake. Sometimes you need to have a little bit of devil in you in order to survive, okay? And so we need to acknowledge the dark side of us and make peace with our dark side. Then we can develop with all energy to do productive things rather than fighting it, okay? Here, the bottom line is that the North American approach, the Western approach, is a binary, either or. So either good or bad. But people are complicated. Life is complicated. So a better approach is the Taoist approach. Taoism, China, is a dialectical approach, yin-yang approach. So life is good, both good and bad. Human being is both good and bad. So we can achieve flourishing by navigating between the two forces to achieve a balance, a adaptive balance. So a dialectical approach to make use of both good and bad, depending on the situation, okay, we're more likely to succeed. So now a little bit talk about the bad part, dark side. Existential philosophy tend to look into the dark abyss. The scary stuff, you know, death, anxiety. Same idea. In order to complete the story of human flourishing, existential psychology focus on both the dark side and the good side. Deep down, the universal human condition, with lots of work, starting from the days of Adam and Eve, We have fear of expulsion from the paradise, feel guilty for doing the wrong thing, feel ashamed for betraying God, for disobeying God. Fear, guilt, and shame is with us. Also antiquity. But at the same time, we're made in God's image. So our heart yearns for reconnecting with God. Our heart yearns for peace, for joy. So the existential psychology, existential parapsychology also recognize the human universal of peace, love, and faith. So I'm trying to harmonize with Yalom, okay? The death anxiety is harmonized by faith in God and in soul. Worry about making the wrong choice is harmonized by courage to do the right thing. Fear of loneliness is harmonized with our desire to connect with people. Finally, fear of meaninglessness is harmonized by the human motivation to live a life with meaning and purpose as advocated by Franco. Okay. Now here's the 7 practical truths. We agree that we need to look at life in a dialectical way. If you look that way, look at the way you're yin yang, there's all kinds of wonderful truths about life can only be understood as a paradox. At the first point, you need to go through suffering in order to discover the truth of how to flourish. I discovered that. I discovered the balanced way to flourishing through suffering. People who did not go through that do not have my wisdom. They had to suffer in order to get that. The secondly, your sexual strength can become a fatal flaw. The American psychology emphasizes individual signature character strength. But that can become a fatal weakness. You know why? If your strength is, whatever your strength is, without humility, too much of something can become bad. Your confidence can become arrogance, right? Your courage can become recklessness. So all your strength can become your weakness if you do not think about the other side. See, you need the other side to balance it. Confidence need to balance by fear. Pride need to be balanced by humility. Oh, I have my weaknesses. So without this dialectical thinking, you're in trouble. The greatest insight of happiness is that you have to be sad to feel good. You're gonna breathe sadness in order to feel happy. You need to let go of what you love most in order to gain it. Now, this is something young people don't realize. If they love someone, they chase after their loved one. If they don't belong to you, the more you chase, the more you suffer. If you really love someone, let go. If they are meant to be in your life, they'll come to you. By pursuing them, you drive them away, right? You never experience true love without willingness to sacrifice everything for your beloved. So when I counsel premarital, when I counsel couples before they get married, I say, always when it comes to young people, I say, one way to find out who really loves you is to give them a sacrifice test to see how much they're willing to sacrifice for you. If the girl is not willing to sacrifice anything for you, always think about her own comfort, full of self, that person might not be your good partner because she's full of self, full of selfishness. Me. She'll drive you crazy. She'll ruin your life. Okay? So you want true love, find how much the person is willing to sacrifice for you. Do you want to know what the meaning of life? You'll find the meaning of life until you find something that's worth dying for. You cannot find meaning of life without, anything that's easy, low-hanging fruit, not very meaningful. The best fruits are beyond reach. Cheap diamond, artificial diamond is no value. The real diamond is hidden deep down. You're not willing to sacrifice, you'll never find. The greatness comes to those who suffer and toil in obscurity. Now, here's the paradox. Nowadays, the celebrity worship. Many scientists want to get into newspaper from celebrity, but by chasing celebrity status, they ruin their career. For me, many people don't know about me, ignore me because I'm against the tide. So it's good for me because but I'm not seeking celebrity. So give me a chance to read the Bible scholarship. Just half an hour ago, I got a letter from a Harvard professor. I said, "Oh, I just discovered your work. It's so great. I'm only to do great work because people ignore me. So allow me to do my scholarship. So do not seek greatness, the key." Now, well, I'm not getting into it, too complicated. Okay? This is my institute. Okay? Here, new science of flourishing through suffering. Okay? The old science is that seek happiness, avoid suffering. The new science says flourishing through suffering. The gate of suffering is the foundation for building a life of flourishing. Okay? The first point is that you accept the reality the world is a dangerous place before you can transcend adversity and suffering. The second thing is that you accept that all things exist in polarity before you can transcend the opposites. The third reality is that in every stage of development, we're all handicapped by our limits without the chart. And but in every stage of development, we can grow as a person only when we overcome the obstacle in each state. If we're going to overcome the obstacle in each development stage, you get stuck. Like Donald Trump, he's a man-sized baby. He's in an infantile stage. He never grew up. That guy is so stupid. Sorry about that. Sorry, Mr. Trump.
We're on the safe side. Yeah.
King-sized baby. He never grew up. Me. So egotistic. Okay. Another point for new science is that accept speciality at the innermost core of personhood. One soul is one true self. So by ignoring spirituality, we live on a shallow level. Okay? Finally, the challenge of existential parapsychology is to catalyze a change in psychology from the economist either or approach to the dialectical approach, or navigating opposite forces to a state of balance and wholeness. Okay, so we can accomplish wholeness. Like Carl Jung said, the individuation process is the process of finding balance, harmony between all the opposite forces. If we ignore the dark side, we're in trouble. If we ignore the positive side, we're in trouble. The only way we can flourish and be happy is by integrate a balance. There are male and female in us, and there are good and evil in us, inside us. Everything is inside us, but they're in conflict. When we balance them, we find inner peace. After we find inner peace, then it's able for us to have peace with other people. So I'm going to now talk about the time running out. So briefly talk about spiritual transcendental model. Okay? The 5 basic tenets of transcendental paradigm. We're all broken people living in a broken world. Do you agree? It's not a shame to us ever broken. Our basic mental health need is when you meet for work, loving relationship, and God. Okay? So we need to transform our brokenness and suffering in wholeness. So we can have mental health, find healing when we have 3 big things we talk about here. We need to connect with our true self, connect with God, connect with other people, and do meaningful work. Freud says that mental health is work and love. But he leave out faith. We need 3 things: work, love, and faith. These 3 things, just like air, water, and food. No air, no food, no water, our body dies. No God, no work, no love, our soul dies. Same idea. Okay. Only to the extent that someone is living out his transcendence of human existence is he truly human, or does he become his true self? He becomes so not by concerning himself with his self-actualization, but by forgetting himself and giving himself and overlooking himself and focusing on other people. Here's the meaning. You cannot have meaning without self-transcendence. That's why Franco defined meaning of life in terms of self-transcendence. A life of serving other people, forgetting about self, serving other people. A life that connected with God. A deep sense of meaning involves exercise of will to meaning, right? For the common good. Meaning is not only anchored in subjective meaning, but in an objective behavioral commitment to some objective value, to pursue something greater than itself. In American psychology, they often define meaning as subjective feeling. But you can say, oh, wow, Hitler can say that he live a meaningful life. Okay? a drug dealer can claim to live a meaningful life. But you think so, it doesn't make it so. You're still a murderer. You're still a killer. A meaningful life is more than just subjective evaluation, subjective. Your life has to be anchored to objective values. That your life produce objective value for society. That's the key. Your life able to produce some value, some lasting value to enrich humanity, to serve other people. Then you can say objectively your life and meaning. Okay? Frankel attempt to restore the soul, the noetic or spiritual dimension to a society. Okay? Now, here is a picture that captures the self-transcendence. You see the vertical dimension? Would you sink a root to the soil of suffering? When you try to reduce the worst suffering, you want to reach the highest ideal. You see that? You want to reach the highest ideal. You're thinking, you want to reach heaven, you got to go to hell. That scares people. You have to go through the gates of hell in order to get to heaven. Wow. No wonder there's so few people in heaven, because many people go through the gate of hell, the narrow gate of suffering. Many people avoid that. They have to get there. The deeper you sink your root in suffering, the higher you go, like a tree. A tall tree has deep roots. Yeah. But that's very important. That's the discovery of Frankel's discovery. That's the discovery of existential psychology. And when you become high, spread your branches and produce good fruit, then you can feed the humanity. See the horizontal part. Then you can serve the common good. The key is no ego. Your ego doesn't die, this cannot happen. You know, the Buddhists talk about non-self, no self. Christianity talk about crucified self. Muslim talk about obedient self, obey to God, right? Obedient to God, complete obedience, surrender to God, surrender to Allah, okay? Allah is the greatest, okay? Surrender to Allah. No self. Ego is the problem. Unless people fear God, unless people are not afraid of suffering, there's no flourishing. Self-containment requires courage, requires vulnerability to do what's right, requires connection with self, other, and with God, right? Yeah. Now, finally, talk about a bit of happiness. No, my true happiness is inner peace. Dalai Lama, another wise man from Tibet. A desert, all desert. Now, all the wise men think that happiness is not an excitement. Happiness, deep inner peace. See, true happiness comes from having a sense of inner peace and contentment, which in turn must be achieved by cultivating altruism, love, compassion, and eliminating anger, selfishness, and greed, the evil, the dark side. How do I inner peace? You do two things. Stop the ego. nourish the soul. You have two dogs, right? One evil dog, one good dog. You starve the evil dog. You nourish the good dog. You starve the evil dog of selfishness, greed, and anger, and bad temper, and nourish the good dog, the good self you, of contentment, inner peace, love, compassion, altruism, sacrifice for other people. True religion is to nourish the soul, nourish compassion. I don't care whether you're Muslim or Christian, it doesn't matter. True religion is to nourish the soul. Okay. Now, here the picture, sugar and happiness. This is the most common. Let's eat and drink and be merry, but tomorrow we die. That's a secular. That's a secular happiness, okay? Let's drink and eat, tomorrow we die. Let's don't waste life. But that's childish thinking, because you eat, drink all day, all night, you'll be bored with that. Okay? This is Aristotle, your mnemonic. That is important part. That means excel in virtue, in good work. That brings happiness. You will excel in what you do. Like basketball NBA player, when they score the basket, when they win the game, they feel so good. That eudaimonic. The happiness comes from the excellency, the excellence of their performance, of their work. Of course they feel good, because they're the best. They're the best in the trade. Okay? But this is an area that has been overlooked. Mature happiness, our spiritual happiness, that happiness that comes from union with God, comes from making a pilgrimage to worship God. It comes from loving other people. It comes from appreciating God's creation, being connected with nature, connected with other people. Ideal happiness is all three. See, I enjoy good food. Tonight after the talk, I'm going to take my wife to a good restaurant. She done happiness, a little bit had done happiness. I enjoy good food. I enjoy money. I work very hard. So when I write a good paper, I feel good. When I give a good talk, I feel good. But more importantly, I spend an hour or two praying to God every morning. I pray every day, every hour. I need God. So I'm a happy man because of all three. We stand all, right? We need it with our life, need more all. We stand all in the power of life force, standing all in the wisdom of human mind, which of love, magic of gratitude, in all of courage, faith. So we see a balance between body, mind, and soul. Okay, remember my question earlier? Broadway and Agate, two roads diverge in the wood. I took the less travel by, and it made all the difference. The Broadway is a dead end, my friend. The Broadway promised all the things that lead you down the garden path of a miserable life. They promise you happiness, fame, at the end, misery. But a narrow path of going through the gate of suffering and sacrifice and pursuing what is good you will have flourishing life. Okay, I'll skip. See, faith, hope, and love. These three things. You need these three things. Your life will be flourishing. Concluding thoughts, okay? Why do people commend themselves and other people? Why is it so difficult for people to find happiness? Here the answers from Solomon, the wise man. Then here the conclusion of the matters. Fear God and keep His commandment. That is the whole duty of man. Bam, fini. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. We're grateful, and you know, I want to thank you for offering us this moments of ideal happiness. Huh? This is ideal happiness what we are experiencing right now. You know, I do believe in epiphanies, and for disclosure, I used to be a positive psychology teacher, and I think that a lot of my students, as my peers, are living the same thing as I am doing right now. While listening to you, I felt that I identify with your approach. I found what was missing in the classical, in the widespread version of positive psychology, knowing that this existential tenet precedes the widespread positive psychology, chronologically speaking. So I have a bundle of questions to ask. I know that I hope that your time, your energy allow such discussion. Let me start by one burning question. I'm delighted to see that religion and spirituality in general is a cornerstone of this existential view. And we know we are people who believe in science. At least we buy things backed up by science with empirical evidence, etc., etc. How can we get the credential of science without looking pious or preachers or guruish?
Okay, it's very simple, Yeah. First of all, we know that the universe, the cosmos, is vast. It is full of mystery, full of wonders. Okay. Science is still trying to understand the universe, but there's still many things like the black hole and how the billions of galaxies, they all have motion in order without colliding with each other. There are many things in nature, in the physical world, the scientists don't understand. The greatest scientists say, well, there has to be some higher power to make everything work together, okay? For example, the Earth, if we live closest to the sun, we'll be all dead, okay? Also, it's silly to believe that to have the materialist, naturalist view of many scientists. Reality is more than what is visible. In fact, energy, all the material things we see actually are based on energy, based on something, based on what's invisible. So what is invisible doesn't mean it doesn't exist. There is an invisible reality, there's a spiritual world that can only be grasped through faith, through mythology, through history. Down through history, all human people, all human beings worship. You don't see the dog worship, you see an animal. The spirituality is part of a DNA. Faith in God, even atheists, when they're in trouble, say, oh, God, help me. people say there are no atheists when people are in desperate. When desperate, what do you do? Psychology research show that pray to God or pray for the spiritual power actually is the most effective way to cope with trauma, with horrors of existence. But of course you pray, but then nobody can help you. When you're buried, like a miner buried 3 miles down earth, or when you're floating in an ocean, miles, no human being with sharks swimming around you. I'll probably cry out, God, if you help me, to sure, I will go to church, I'll go to the synagogue, go to the mosque every day. It's human nature to survive. So I don't see any conflict, but many great scientists are believers.
Oh, okay, Doctor, and thank you for this explanation. You know, we have the standard version of positive psychology until now, and I think that many of my peers are living the same repentance right now, and switching to existential, to this more inclusive way to craft our flourishing. You know, one of the strengths of positive psychology is the fact that it answers the question of how, through a set of exercise and practice and evidence-based practice and exercise. Can we find the same setting, the same apparatus in existential?
Of course. That's why I'm now working with 2 or 3 Harvard professors who want to get a big grant to do research. They control the funding. The American positive psychology people control the funding, everything. So I don't have the funding to test my ideas. So now I'm working with Harvard professor, several Harvard professors to test out their many applications from, for example, here's a simple thing. Here's some exercise. William James, the great psychologist, suggests that every day, now think carefully, every day you choose to do something difficult and unpleasant. Just you do something you like. No. Every day you force yourself to do something you don't like, something that trains character. Okay? Train character. Or another version is that every day spend some time, face your dark side. Okay? Don't run away from your dark side. Okay? Now, the most powerful experiment I've done since, here's an interesting story, okay? When Martin Seligman was doing research on learned helplessness, I was doing research on learned optimism, learned persistence, learned courage. So I train rats, since they are very young, the baby, to eat or to grow up in a condition of intermittent aversive stimulation. In other words, every 10 minutes, some flashlight, some noise will come in. Right? Those animals that grow up with discomfort actually to grow up to be healthier and smarter. And more recently, research from psychiatrists, more recent, just a few months ago, they show that children who has people who have in the past, in childhood, who have experienced intermittent trauma. In other words, for example, goes through war, goes through natural disaster, goes through the loss of a loved one. People who have survived trauma, they are more resistant, more resilient, they have more mental health. An experiment could have been could have been replicated many times. That is, it's called progressive ratio training. Here's how it goes. I train an animal to press the bar once for reinforcement. Then it increase to 10. Now they work harder now. They work for 10 for the same reward. Then they require for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. I'm able to train some animal that press the bar 150 times for one part of the reward. Okay.
Okay, that's quite bad news for helicopter parenting right now. Yeah.
Well, let me tell my story. Okay. So my other psychologist used my method to train children, and they discover, I forgot his name. He developed that learn the resourcefulness. Learn resourcefulness. If children are trained by intermittent reinforcement, they become more resourceful, more successful in life. It's demonstrated in human psychology. Okay, right now, my old age, the names escape me. Okay, so intermittent reward, intermittent aversive stimulation are far better than only past experience. Past experience is about the worst, but it don't prepare people for real life. That's why I say that new past education kind of train children to learn how to accept failure, accept hardship, and learn how to overcome. You have time, I can give you a whole course and present all the evidence on how you can be resilient and happy by overcoming difficulty. I have just lots of, I don't have time to give you all the experiments that have been done, but still more can be done. Yeah, and a more recent experiment, okay? Cinnamons says 3 good things in life that make them happy. So I did experiment and said that there are more powerful things. Say thank you for 3 bad things in your life. That makes you stronger, make you better people, not just for good things, but also fight for, thank God for the bad things in my life. Wow, that's more powerful. I can give you lots of studies.
Okay. Thank you, and sorry for interrupting here. Just my eagerness is
I know.
overflowing. Yeah, I'm thinking about organization. You know what makes the difference for the classic and the standard version of positive psychology? It's the way it gives promise to institutions, to firms on increasing performance, on getting more performance and high financial performance, etc. So is there any way to promise something to organization if they apply existential positive psychology principles, they can get more rewards?
Okay, so I'm saying that especially during the pandemic or post-pandemic, let's say, now, it's all right to go through a rough time. It's okay to face the danger of bankruptcy or whatever. The setbacks and bankruptcy, or going through facing bankruptcy forever is not the end of the world. Faith, okay? You have to believe that if your business it really is meaningful, really serve a good function, you believe that your company have an important mission, can really serve humanity, then no one can stop you. No one can bring you down. You believe that you have something worthwhile, so meaningful. Your courage to face reality as it is, faith and courage. And then resourceful means digging deeper and wider to find solution. I just demonstrated earlier from my own life, because the American psychologists reject my work for years after years. I did not give up. I just find ways to raise my voice, because I know that the my approach is more helpful to suffering people. Their thing is for people, for middle class people, for people's life is in neutral or positive territory. But now so many people's life are in negative territory. There are very little things to offer for people living in negative territory. So all my psychology is aimed to help people in the negative territory. I have lots of research data, kind of data, but they refuse to cite me, they refuse to publish my stuff. But I did not give up. So more, right now, I got invited all over the world. Latin America, Africa, Europe, Asia. People now, you half invited me to teach, to research. All of a sudden, say, oh, Paul has something to offer, something important to offer. So here's an example, right? I give a personal example of my research. I have lots of things to offer to companies, organizations who are going through difficulties. I say, good, there's opportunity to build something new, something better. If the old doesn't die, new things cannot be grown, cannot be invented. Good opportunity, be happy. So my message is more powerful, more optimistic. Everything goes to the dogs. That's good. I didn't burn down, that's good. Now we're a chance to start afresh, start a new chapter. Now think about better way of doing things. See? Only people listen to me. They will not listen to me. Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. I don't want to be more opportunistic than I did actually. So I want to finish by making a declaration. It's a declaration of love. I know that you have said that you will have the last laugh, and I guess that you are laughing this last laugh. You have the right to celebrate, and I want to take advantage of this encounter, virtual encounter, to make this formal demand, a request, I would say, to join your network and to be your allies, your ambassadors, whatsoever, in order to spread this TNETs and to craft authentic way to flourish in the midst of our cultural contingencies. We share the same values, we share the same vision, and a lot of, I would dare to say, the same vision of the world. So the chaos is perfect to announce this this alliance.
Thank you so much. But by the way, you look like one of my students who died of COVID-19 a few months ago. You really remind me of him. But anyway, I really appreciate Ally. Now I have Ally with you guys. I just received another letter from Mohammed. I just forgot his name. Just an hour ago, he went to be ally with me.
From where? Which country?
Africa.
Africa.
No, let me tell his name. Hold me on. Let me check.
Very, very humble and very humble and
Oh my goodness.
this is the it's a live illustration of what is humility and cheerfulness and being wise and childish. And I really appreciate this. I consider myself like pretty informed about the approach, but listening to the words coming from the mouth of Dr. Wong has another effect. I think his preaching career has its magic.
Thank you and praise the Lord. Oh, actually, I think, this pandemic had given us a pause just to think about what have we been doing and where do we go from here. And, the world is changing and they always looking forward to the go back normal, but we will never have the same normal. We will be having a new normal. We have to create a new normal. And it's a real learning experience, and it gives everybody a real shock.
Yes.
Yeah.
I appreciate the way you are displaying the joy of being filled, being a couple. That's really.
Well,
I wish.
I like to use this time to advertise. We're going to have our first virtual meeting conference.
I've got my membership to the network.
August the 6th to 8th, and we are trying. Here he comes.
There we go. My place. He wants to take his place.
You're preaching a converted. Yeah, we're already converted. So no need to preach, huh?
He is from. His name is Moham, from FETER organization. FETER, 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 FETER organization. His name is Moham.
Okay, I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
We guess.
The screen, the white screen of Mr. Paul Wong, the screen.
Huh?
Okay, show us again in the camera. In the camera, show us again the name.
Okay.
No, upper.
It's hardly visible. Hardly visible.
There we
Mohammed
go. Mohammed Fidzer. Mohammed Fidzer. Fidzer.org.
Fidzer.
No, I'm gonna check it right now.
Oh well, we're gonna check. We're gonna check. That's great. Any growth of our circle of allies will make us very happy. So
but he's a big name. He's a big name.
Yeah.
They have lots of money. so they want to support my work. Yeah.
Okay. I'm working on translating your book. So the last book, the last one.
Yeah.
I'm working on translating it into French and Arabic, and it will be ready in a couple of months. And it will be my joy to spread your ideas and your.
You're most welcome to translate any of my work. Okay. Don't worry about copyright or anything. Just
Thank you. That's so lovely from you. And I have a network, a huge army of researchers, seniors and juniors, who are ready to work on developing measures, scales, or any. You can try.
Well, we're getting a time where I'll share with you all the instruments I have developed. Our research instrument developed already. Okay, but 12 years ago, there's a director of research from Harvard's Flourishing Institute. He was so surprised to have developed so many things that he did not know. He did not know because I've been suppressed by North American psychologists, by the mainstream. They suppressed me, saying I'm heretic. I say anything is not orthodox. Okay, so I've been suppressed, but now they discover me now. So when I change next time, I'll share with you all my research. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Back to you. I mean, you take care of the landing.
Thank you very much. It's the Fitzer Institute is in Michigan, or in Minnesota. Is in the United States. He's not in Africa. I believe he has a dark skin. It seems like his name is Muhammad. I believe he's Muslim as a religion, but he lives in the U.S. We live in Africa.
You know, positive psychology is for white and rich people, so he fits to our standards.
Standard, that's why. It was a quick check of his background.
A guy named Mohammed.
Mohammed Fitzer. He has a very long name.
Mohammed.
Yeah, I checked it in his website. Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate your presence, both of you. Thank you very much for your time, for your energy. And you changed a lot of things in our lives, actually, just by listening to you. Both of you, thank you very much. And we appreciate your presence tonight. And in the name of our all audience, your audience, MENA region, Africa and Europe, we thank you very much for this presence. In the meanwhile, have a good night and see you another time, maybe. Maybe that's in Morocco. Thank you very much.
Talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye now.
Yes, to see you again.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All the best.